Hey everyone, this is MC Aquila, aka Mahira, and today we are going to talk a little bit more about my Pokemon Fancomic MOONBLAST. I had another video where I talked about why a Pokemon Fancomic. That was mostly me going on about Pokemon XY and XYZ, mainly the animes, because I did not have the games. So let's get into it, because MOONBLAST is a really specific Pokemon Fancomic. Most Pokemon Fancomics tend to be the Nuzlocke playthrough comics, where people basically, whenever a Pokemon faints while they play the game, that Pokemon is dead or something like that, which is so intense. A lot of those can be a little sad because Pokemon die. And there's also the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon ones. And yeah, those are both pretty common. And in general, it seems like Pokemon tends to have more fan comics than other franchises, which is pretty awesome. I'm kind of surprised that other franchises don't have more fan comics. And I'm talking about long-running fan comics. I'm not talking about one-shots. The one-shots are good. No problem with them, but it's also really fun to see longer-running fan comics because they're really awesome. So, so I think I mentioned it earlier, but I was kind of like holding off on having a Pokemon fan comic and just kind of gradually came around to it. And I was thinking like, well, and this was like in 2020 or summer of 2020. And I was like, well, if I did a Pokemon fan comic, like what would it even like be about? Because the world of Pokemon is huge. So there's a lot to choose from. And at the same time, there's already a lot of Pokemon stuff out there. And I'm not talking about fan comics really. I'm just the anime and the games and all that have covered a lot, They've had a lot of different types of characters and character dynamics with the Pokemon, and different Pokemon having the time to shine, and different types of Pokemon journeys and things like that. And I was like, what can I do that is, gonna stand out, I guess, and will be, especially fun for me to write. So one thing that always stood out is that Pokemon is... Okay, first off, Pokemon is adorable. Okay, like, the majority of the character designs are very cute. Not all of them, but a lot of them are really cute. And even, like, the Ugo designs usually have, like, pre-evolved forms that are pretty cute. And some of them are ugly cute, too. So there's a lot of cuteness going around. A lot of very cute and sweet things, especially since fairy types were introduced. My goodness. Oh, they're so cute. But Pokemon is also horrible. And by horrible, I mean it's like kind of terrifying in like fairy tale kind of ways. Because if you think about it, fairy tales have things that are magical and interesting, and often at times like very sweet and very kind of just nice, but they also have terrible things. There's a lot of dark stuff in fairy tales, and children and humans in general like dark and terrible things to different extents, obviously, but it's because, the world is not great. It's not perfect, and so we appreciate seeing characters face dark things, terrible things, and overcome them. And also there's just that sort of human interest in like the things that are creepy and the is it macabre? Is that how you pronounce it? I think. And sorry, I'm one of those people who reads a lot and doesn't hear a lot of the words pronounced. So like it's kind of like that interest in horror and the horror genre that a lot of people do have. So Pokemon has that. Even though things are very cute and very sweet a lot of the time, there's like the entire ghost type that like there's that is a type. Ever since the first generation, there's been the ghosts, and they have just the most wonderful descriptions in the Pokedex. So like Haunter, the second form of Ghastly, has some excellent descriptions. In Pokemon Gold, its description is in total darkness, where nothing is visible, Haunter lurks, silently stalking its next victim. And I saw its description in the Arceus game, and I loved it. It's this frightful, malevolent spirit can glide through walls, appearing wherever it likes. According to rumor, victims of a haunter's lick will wither to death day by day. And I'm just like, that sounds pleasant. And there's like more, like there's stuff like beware, like whenever it will try to give you a bear hug and it'll just break your spine because it loves you so much. Like, yeah, so the Pokedex entries, ever since the early games, like this is just the mainstay of the Pokemon franchise, they've always had some Pokemon that are just like, they're cool or they're a little creepy, but they're also like, they sound terrifying. It's like, wow, I wouldn't want to meet this. I mean, maybe you would, but you know it would be dangerous. And so yeah, so it's so cool because let's say you meet a haunter and like, yeah, it could lick you and you could slowly wither away to death, but it could also just want to be your new best friend. Like, there's just such a wide range of possibilities there. And you know, that idea, especially when you're a kid, of having like a monster for your friend is just, you know, delightful. I feel like many children enjoy that idea, and I find it very charming now as well. And it's also just really, really fun to write. Writing, it's just that whole like interspecies friendship thing. Like, there's just so much you can do with it. It's so much fun. So, you know, I was revisiting all this stuff in Pokemon, trying to get ideas and reading all these like terrible things in the Pokedex. And I'm like, like, how did people discover this? Like, who was it that first saw somebody get their spine broken by a beware who just wanted to give you a bear hug, you know? Like, who saw this? Like, who had to undergo these terrible things so the researchers could be like, ah, I see, that's how that Pokemon kills people. I had this idea of, like, well, what if there was, like, a family who was cursed with bad luck? So all these terrible things have happened to members of that family. And so I had this idea where, like, the main character, Tiri, would meet a kid from that family, and he'd be telling her all these stories about, like, these awful things that have happened to his family. And, like, as they were talking, like, they'd be passing a town, and this guy would be selling balloons, and one of the balloons would be a Drifloon, and it would, like, grab onto the kid and try to, like, carry him away into the unknown, and he'd be like, not again. Drifloon would be like, let's be friends. And also, I'm going to kill you. Oh my gosh, I love it. And so at first I was like, oh, it could be like a whole family. For some reason I thought of them being from Unova at first, but it shifted from being a whole family to just Kai. So yeah, so all of this bad luck is just on this one child. And I enjoy writing that. Yeah, so like, honestly, I definitely was unconsciously inspired by Milo Murphy's Law. If you haven't seen Milo Murphy's Law, it's by the same people who did Phineas and Ferb. And the main character is Milo Murphy, who, you know, of Murphy's Law, you know, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And that's like the whole premise of a lot of the show. And that's where a lot of the comedy comes from, is just things going hilariously wrong. And it's funny because, like, I guess I'm just a dummy sometimes, because I did not even think of Milo Murphy and that show while I was developing Kai and his bad luck. But then a few months ago, one of my readers is like, oh, this is like Milo Murphy. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is. Oh goodness. Don't be like me. Be more self-aware. Anyway, so yeah, I enjoy that kind of absurd comedy that sometimes, you know, is kind of dark. So I was like, yes, this is good. This kid is going to be fun to write, and him and his terrible luck. And also just that, like, this bad luck would make Pokemon just, like, not like him. And so many Pokemon are just very sweet, and they're like, yeah, let's hang out, let's be chums. We've played for 5 minutes, so we're gonna be friends forever now. And no, that doesn't apply to Kai. They don't like him. He will get on their bad side obviously very not intentionally, but who cares? So yeah, so I was like, you know, most of these terrible entries in the Pokedex are about ghost types. Not all of them. Some of the other ones, like Beware is I think a normal fighting type. It's just it's like a big pink cuddly teddy bear, and which is also a monster. I love it. And I have to admit, like, my favorite type is ice types, followed closely by flying types and water types. Ghost types aren't technically my personal favorite. However, they are the most interesting because the world of Pokemon in the games and in the anime does have ghosts. Like, there are characters who appear as ghosts. But they aren't ghost type Pokemon. They're just normal ghosts, okay? And this is like Pokemon and humans, alright, who are ghosts. But then there are also ghost type Pokemon, but not all of them are technically ghosts. But some of them are. Some of them are specifically stated to, you know, I think it was Phantump is the ghost of a child who got lost in the woods and died. I guess of starvation or something, or exposure. And now it's a little plant Pokemon. Ghost type plant Pokemon. There's just so much there to play with all the different types of ghosts and Pokemon and all that, just running around in the same little category of just ghost stuff. So this led to the premise of MOONBLAST, because I was like, well, I want to explore this. I want to explore ghost types and ghosts, and also the ghost world and the afterlife in Pokemon. The ghost world doesn't come up many times in the anime or the game, but it does pop up here and there. I'll link the the Pokepedia or whatever it's called. I'll link its entry down below. Yeah, so like, as you can, if you go to that entry, you see it's quite brief because they haven't done very much with it, which I think is good. You shouldn't really give any answers, I think, about ghosts. I mean, you should keep it very limited because otherwise it's not as creepy, in my opinion. So, but that means that there's also more for me to kind of mess around with because they haven't set down tons of rules about how that all works and how it all looks and stuff. So, yeah, so this is where the general idea of a Pokemon fan comic became specifically a autumn Halloween vibes kind of story, because, you know, I'm not really sure where the autumn idea came from. I think that basically I'm sick of everything taking place in the summer. I think the summer has a monopoly on media. We need more stories in autumn and winter and spring. I love summer, but let's have more of the other seasons too. So I was like, yeah, autumn. Also, Kalos is France and the autumn French countryside. I mean, come on. That's obviously like, yes, that's a big yes. So I was like, yeah, autumn and Halloween, ghosts, it all goes together. And plus Eteri's purple hair and all that is perfect for autumny colors. And the biggest hurdle, I think, was Jasmine, because Jasmine is a Galarian Ponyta, and those are some spring colors right there. I mean, she could be on an Easter card, but, you know, that's working out. It's working out. And, anyways, so, yeah, autumn. I love it. And, okay, yeah, so, honestly, like, the whole seasonal thing, I'll shut up after this about it, but I've always been really big into the 4 seasons. I used to have a seasonal blog on Tumblr for years where I'd just be posting different stuff related to the different seasons and holidays that were happening. So yeah, this is basically perfect for me, and I'm excited about it. And so yeah, one thing that I love is that I mentioned in the previous video that like Pokemon is like, the world of Pokemon is my favorite like escapism. I think it's really funny just looking back on it to realize that like I've tied my favorite form of escapism to death. Just like, let's take this ghosts and death and we'll explore that in the adorable world of Pokemon. They already do that in the games, kind of. They already have these terrible Pokedex entries and, you know, these ghosts running around and these different Pokemon killing people and all this kind of fun stuff. So yeah, like, it's all good. It's all good. Oh my goodness. What are your thoughts on the wonderfully terrible things in Pokemon? Was there ever like a Pokemon that scared you whenever you were younger, or a Pokedex entry that was like kind of freaky, or, you know, are you a fan of ghost types? Is there a ghost type that you really, really like, or one who you really don't like? Yeah, let me know. And do you think that Gengar or Haunter is creepier? Because for the longest time, I thought Haunter was just the coolest of all the different ghastly evolutions. And that was one thing that was a huge shock whenever I was starting to work on MOONBLAST, is that Gengar is insanely popular. And don't get me wrong, I love Gengar. It is so cute. It's like this, it's so chubby. So like I've changed my tune. I now like Gengar better. But I still think Haunter's creepier. But then again, Gengar's Pokedex descriptions for like its Mega form and its, oh, what's it called whenever it gets all big? Dynamax, Gigantamax form are pretty terrible. And like in a good way, you know, like we've been talking about. So yeah, share your thoughts about Gengar and Haunter or other ghost Pokemon down below. I would be very curious to read about it, because I love hearing people's takes on the ghost types in these games. They're so much fun. Anyways, that is all for today. Thank you for listening, and you have a great day. Bye-bye!